Monday, October 6th. I'm Adam Walsh, and you are listening to The Signal. We are live at Memorial University at the University Center. It's you can hear the hustle and bustle because it's lunchtime. The point of us being here, we're talking to students about the upcoming provincial election. What matters for them? What are the issues? And what do they want to see the next provincial government do about them? We're going to bring in a guest here as the theme music fades down. John Harris, Editor-in-Chief of the Muse, is in front of me. Mr. Harris, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Adam. It's a great day here to be on campus.
I got in touch with you because we're going to have folks from the Muse like yourself. We've got Munsu representation. We also put some flyers around and emailed some different groups at the university to ask students to submit their opinions on the provincial election. So through this whole show, you're my anchor guest. We're going to hear from a pretty wide range of views on provincial issues. For yourself as Editor-in-Chief of the Muse, I've been following the Muse a fair bit. You've been on the show a few times before now. I've been seeing a lot on social media. You've been in a lot of different places. Like I did a whole thing on, we were at a debate on post-secondary town hall on post-secondary education a little while ago, listening to candidates from each of the political parties. When you're the Editor-in-Chief of the Muse, what are you thinking about when it comes to coverage for a provincial election for what represents students?
Well, right away, I mean, there's the immediate material needs of students when it comes to their housing situation, their cost of living, how cost of education is factored into that. But then there's also, how important the university is to be an engine, an economic engine, an intellectual engine, ideas engine for the province. And so how does the, Memorial University campus being, the only public university, obviously we have the CNA as well that does incredible work, but the only public university, how does that play into the whole provincial conversation when it comes to, I think, some issues that were raised in the Day of Action protest is work terms for nursing students. Nursing students say they're already burnt out before they enter the nursing system because they've had to work 1,500 hours of unpaid labor before they even become a nurse. So that kind of factors into, yes, it's what students are feeling right now in terms of their cost of living, their work situation, their study situation, their living situation, but also how does that affect the province as we have a nursing shortage, for example, as we have a healthcare system that is, has a lot of problems and needs to have a workforce that's ready and engaged to help solve them. So all of these kind of conversations I think are very important to have at the university and student level for this election.
And where are you sending your reporters? How do to get down to a journalism question, weeds kind of a question here. How do assignments work for the Muse when you're looking at something like the provincial election? Because like I said, I've seen you folks out at a few things. You're here, there, everywhere posting. What's the conversation like then for coverage?
Well, a lot of our student journalists are volunteers. Yeah. They are just passionate about the news, they're passionate about community, they're passionate about issues, and want to be able to share that both with other students, but also the broader community, right? So we've been able to have some really great volunteers and with the student work program as well, have some people hired on to cover issues that are important to students. So we're at the protests, we're at the we're talking to people. We have an article today about commuting to campus by Jillian Party, who wrote about long commutes from CBS and not being able to find parking and just everyday issues that matter to students. And I think it's important that we have that as part of the system that makes university work, politics work, democracy work. Is we need to have that strong media component like what you do, Adam. Things like that.
Excellent. Sit tight. Because I'm going to come back to you a little bit later to ask you a couple more questions on student issues and everything else around the Muse. I want to bring Arlette Lazarenko into the conversation now, because what we're doing for this show is, like I said there in my intro, we sent some emails around, we put some posters around, and we're asking questions to students about what are the big issues, what are they thinking of when it comes to this provincial election. We got some emails. Arlette, just give us a couple. What do we get?
So yes, Adam, we got some submissions from students. Some of them are here today. We're going to listen to them later in the show. But let me read to you some of the submissions we got. First one I have here from Matthew Kelly. He says, an issue for him is Metrobus services. Having Line 30 run deeper into Paradise and having buses come more frequently would be fantastic. That's one. Another one we have from Gayatri Sukanta said, the provincial government needs to support international students instead of treating them like cash cows, especially graduates who stay in Newfoundland and Labrador. Another one we have from Vasudenvan Sambasivan, I hope I said that correctly. The rising cost of tuition and rent. I would like there to be more public housing options for everyone, including students.
All right, so we're here Metrobus, international students, public housing, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for those three.
Of course.
And I know you've got more, so I'll get you to come back in a little bit to read.
You'll hear from me soon.
All right, folks, I'm Adam Walsh. This is The Signal. We're live at Memorial University. Lunchtime in the food court, the University Center. Let's get Lee Hurley coming on up here. The Muse managing...
Hello.
Hi, Lee. So the Muse is managing editor. How long have you been involved with the Muse?
This is my second year with the Muse. So
Alright.
I started last September as just like the kind of the arts and culture writer, but our past managing editor, Jake Label, just graduated, so I have been promoted for this year.
Yes, Mr. Label's been on the show as well a couple of times.
Yes,
I
it's
love
great.
having folks with the Muse on the show. It's always so great to talk to journalists here at the university. Why did you want to get involved? Like, so you mentioned the art side of coming in, but to get involved and then make the leap to managing editor.
Yeah, so journalism's always been something that I've been kind of interested in, and I'm in the Communications and Media Studies program here at MUN, but it's more like, don't get me wrong, absolutely love it, but it's more on like the theory side of things.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, like this might be a cool way to kind of get a bit more of a hands-on thing, and I've been loving it. It's been a really great experience.
What have you been covering recently in this season so far?
Lots of arts and culture. I'm really into the local music scenes here, so I love to kind of put a spotlight on those artists. Lots of campus life stuff, and most recently, the Day of Action protest.
Tell me about the Day of Action from your lens.
Yeah, so it's like an annual protest put off by MUNSU, or semi-annual. It started in the 90s for students protesting rising tuition fees, and in 1999, student protesters actually acquired a tuition freeze from the government. That was in place until, I think, 2022, when they announced that they were going to double it. So the last few years, the Day of Action has really like hiked up, and students have been like getting angry again to try and get tuition fees back to what they were before.
Yeah, so that last time, that was when I was here, a long, long time ago. I started in 98, I remember it well, in 99, and then the freeze that continued on for years. Provincial election-wise, issues, what are the things either you're hearing, or what are you thinking about for this provincial election?
Yeah, so a big focus in this year's Day of Action, because I find the protest has like an overarching like lower tuition fees, student issues kind of thing, but most of them have like a smaller focus that they're pushing for that year. So this year they were largely focused on cost of living. The MUNSU director of campaigns, Rana, I think it was something like 30% of students on campus are food insecure, which is a huge figure. But this year they were also really focused on unpaid work terms, because a lot of students in like social work, nursing, education have to actually pay to do their work terms. And so that's been a big thing that they've been trying to have conversations with party leaders about leading up to this election.
Are you hearing what you want from the different parties? Or any of what you want?
I'm pretty sure, from what I remember, NDP did commit to paying students for their work terms. I think the PC party said there would be at least partial compensation, or they would reevaluate it. But one thing I heard from a lot of students when we were covering the Day of Action was that they haven't heard anything from the Liberal Party yet about the state of the university or about potentially paying for work terms.
Okay. Is it like, with an election coming, with Days of Action, covering all of this, like, what's the excitement level for you as someone who's year two and really kind of getting into the thick of it, and also being managing editor?
It's always been really exciting, definitely busy, but it's always a really exciting time. I love just like being out, like I love the energy. I love hearing what students have to say. Our social media manager, Calum, and I actually like attended the protest with the mic and the camera and like wove in and out of people as we were walking, as we were marching, and we're like, why are you marching in this day of action today? And just that energy is like very electric to me, and I love just being like immersed with students, because it's one thing to write about it, you can kind of be a little bit removed from it, and I do a lot of that and I love that, but it's another thing to be like actually there in the action and see what's going on with your own eyes.
Yeah, you're there as it's breaking, as
Yeah.
it's unfolding, talking to people, and you feel the vibe, you're there with the whole thing, and then you're helping everyone else see it and understand it, which is such a great service as a student. Is it like, John, is it sort of like for the Muse, newspaper, what are we calling it nowadays?
Well, we are, the Memorial University Student Editorial. So,
There you go.
Yeah.
So we can be whatever you want it to be. But,
Yeah.
but we do have an announcement. Lee, go for it.
Live
what
on
is
the
our
signal,
announcement? Live on the
breaking.
signal.
Oh, I love this.
The Muse is going to be back in print for a 75th anniversary.
Hey.
We're aiming for January, but stay tuned with the social media. Definitely follow along. Yeah.
Back in print.
Yeah.
Oh, how old school. That's amazing. I love it.
But yeah, it's like Memorial University Student Editorial. Muse is actually an acronym. I didn't actually know that.
I didn't know it
for,
till
like,
right
years.
now, and
Yeah.
I went here. Yeah. Cool. Well, and will it be a one-timer or will it be consistently?
That's to be determined.
TBD.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for that first one, I can't wait to see it. And
Yes.
thank you very much. Bring in
you.
the social media manager now.
Come on in, Caleb.
I have to crouch down a little bit more.
Here, we'll fix the mic.
Then
Caleb is 7 feet tall. Hold on now. Let me, it's, lots of, well, you're a good 6'4".
6'2".
6'2".
I live with a bunch of guys like 6'5" and above, though, so
Okay.
I feel like I'm the shortest person in the house.
I think it's your presence that makes it seem like you're 6'4".
The cowboy boots add an inch.
See, there you go. Because I was like, I'm almost 6 foot. How did you get involved with the Muse?
I got involved last year around kind of this time. I've always been into video editing. I used to be pretty into home distilling, so I'd go and I'd make like home distilling tutorials. So I learned how
Okay.
to video edit through that, and then
Yeah.
I got to university. I kind of wanted to get interested in journalism. I was reading a lot of journalists, and so I heard about the Muse, and I went to a meeting and kind of just did a few projects here and there, and then very quickly became kind of the de facto video editor, where we didn't have kind of that capacity. There wasn't like a whole lot of people with that skill set.
Yeah.
And then it fell into that, and it very quickly became this kind of passion project where it was slowly just improving like 1% at a time after every single video. And then, yeah, and the videos did well, right? That's where our generation gets their news. So it felt like a good feeling to kind of see the Muse getting into the hands of more students. And now, like, looking at where it is, I'm really happy that I did get involved, because I think in terms of like just social media coverage and social media size, comparing ourselves to like other student editorials, we have one of the largest social media followings, if not the largest, by like almost 2 times over, I think, comparing it to like the University of Toronto, which is
That's
a
pretty
great
good.
feeling. Yeah.
To be beating up along. So what are the follower numbers then?
So I think we're close to 10,000 on
That's
Instagram and
excellent.
TikTok, both kind
Yeah.
of like individually, and I think we're averaging, not to like give too much but I think we do 2 million views across all platforms right now.
That's excellent.
It's kind of what we average, and that's just mostly our like short form content and stuff like that. But we do have our longer form like podcasts, because it is hard to get a lot of information in a minute and a half with those short form videos. So we do longer, like 30-45 minute podcast segments with guests, which is a great feel. It's great to kind of give that more in depth look at the information, but though it's also harder to get people to view longer form content like that.
Yeah. You said you start with distilling videos?
Yeah,
How old were
I'm,
you?
Just turned 20, but I've been
Okay.
I've been home distilling for a long time.
For a long time. We'll just leave.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that there. Okay. I was in the back of my head, a little question. Once you got in, and I've been following the Muse with I follow on Instagram, and I enjoy and the long form, John, like your interview with the Newfoundland president a little while ago, and the short form, whether it's the forum on post-secondary education, some of the Day of Action stuff. What was it like once this got up and running, and you started to see from your point to be like, oh, we're starting to cook here, and we're getting a following?
I think there was like a certain aspect of like getting that like dopamine hit from seeing the numbers go up, but now it's like it's just sort
Not
of
enough.
no,
Yeah.
it's not. Now it's the feeling's gone, the
need
novelty's gone, where it's sort of just like uploading for the sake of uploading. I think where it's keeping what we've kind of built going, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it went from like posting like once a week to now trying to get a video out almost every single day and kind of keeping it consistent. And the students notice though, like it's a lot of people have talked where they're like, the Muse is back. Like the Muse is like kind of at the point now where it like is a staple of the university and people know that it's happening. And not even just at the university, but people around St. John's find it as a source.
Yeah, you're doing great work.
But it's also, I think a big part of that is that our generation and people now are on Instagram and social media so much more for their news, and a lot of the local news networks aren't on those short form social medias, which is where people are getting their information. So we've kind of gotten this nice little niche and just kind of this special moment where nobody else has kind of gotten in there yet in the local St. John's area.
That's great. The one top biggest issue for the provincial election on your mind, what is it?
Affordability. Just standardly, I think as a student and everybody in the province can agree, housing, food prices, everything in the province, and I think it's a bigger issue everywhere else, but especially in Newfoundland, it's straight up just too expensive, and I don't think we're taking the proper steps to reduce that affordability. Like I think so much stuff can be done with housing, and just I don't want to, without going into too many of the specifics in the weeds, but kind of increasing the amount of like non-market housing we have, not allowing large corporations to buy up single-family homes in the province, cutting a bit of the red tape when it comes to building homes, and then also reducing the restrictions on getting food in and out of the province, and just kind of getting rid of that boat tax is what we always hear of. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this. I appreciate the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Move the microphone. There's always a mic.
I'm not as tall as Caleb. I need this adjusted.
I don't think anyone else here is. Nathan, introduce yourself and your position, if you could.
Yeah, my name is Nathan Gillingham. I'm the Executive Director of External Affairs for Memorial University's Student Union.
Nice to see you again. There's a board that we were looking at on the wall. So here in the University Center, folks, there's a board just as you come in. So if you know where the university if you know about the campus here in St. John's, next to the clock tower, to go up into the University Center, you walk up the stairs, and just to the left as you come through the double front doors, well, that's where we are, first of all, but also there's a sign that says, how did tuition hike affect you? So it's a MUNSU board. What are some of the things that are on it?
Yeah, so this is an initiative that we're after doing the last couple of years, and just the lead up to the day of action. We're asking students, how does this tuition increase affect you? And if you look at our board, it pretty much speaks for itself, right? We see a lot of people saying that they're working 3 jobs, that they're encompassed in debt, that they have 2 degrees and they're unable to find a job. These are just some of the material issues that are affecting students today.
Yeah, there's one that, to paraphrase, they didn't use the term unsafe, but they were in essentially inappropriate housing because of tuition costs was one of the stickies there.
Absolutely.
So as a MUNSU Director of External Affairs, when you see that, what do you think about?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big responsibility, right? We're tasked with representing over 11,000 undergraduate students. So, when we hear these firsthand testimonies, the first thing I think about is, what can we do? And we've been meeting with provincial leaders the last couple of weeks or so, and we've been bringing these issues straight to them of just what we've been hearing on the ground. And we're looking for commitments this election. We're looking for parties to actually speak to the broader base.
Are you how much when you're looking for parties to speak to the broader base? The election is coming, days away, right? And plus, we were at this the forum on post-secondary. Did you hear anything of what you're looking for, or have you heard anything of what you're looking for?
It's a good question because I'll be totally honest, not entirely. I think everyone experiences issues. Everyone is impassionate about the issues that they are experiencing. But from our experience, there's a lot of apathy this election. We feel that there isn't exactly, all of the parties aren't exactly speaking to this issue specifically of the economic problems in this province, and it's really disheartening to see. I'm really sorry, John Hogan, but no one's really that passionate about a new highway. We're looking for commitments on affordability.
Thank you for this. I appreciate it. It's so nice to meet you the other night and to have the follow through for you to be on the show today. You've got there's a director of advocacy here too. You want to bring your director of advocacy? Yeah. My brother Islam, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Why'd you want to be director of advocacy for the university, for MUNSU?
That's a very good question. So initially, when I first started my university here, I struggled a lot. Did not know where to find the answers. Did not know who to go to. The director of advocacy at that time really helped me out. It was Mackenzie, and I think that's what led me to be here.
So tell me about then some of the advocacy projects and works that you're doing.
So currently, as we all know, we just had our day of action. So around that, we do, since we do a lot of walk-ins in our offices as the director of advocacy, one thing that some of my fellow peers here has echoed as well, and I'll echo the same thing. A lot of affordability issues around housing, food insecurity, and students who work without being paid are a big issue. So we have been lobbying with the provincial government, like whoever is running this time, the NDP, the PCs, and the Liberals. We have seen a few commitments and none from some others. In specific, I'd like to say we haven't heard anything from the Liberals, but NDP has said some good things about them at least coming to a resolution here. So we are hopeful and we are working towards it. So let's see how it goes. We are really hopeful about it.
All right, we'll see. Mabur, thank you so much for
Thank
this.
you.
Cheers. I'm Adam Walsh. You were listening to The Signal live from Memorial University. We're at the University Center. Today's show is about talking to students about the upcoming provincial election, talking about issues, talking about what they want to see from the next provincial government. And just like the university here with all the students, the issues, there's a big range to them. We've had folks, we're going to bring Arlette Lazarenko, show AP, back into the conversation here. Arlette, when we were planning this show, we sent some notes around to different student groups and also put a couple posters up asking for submissions. You've got a couple more there. What are they?
All right. So the next one I'm going to read you is from Emily, who sent us a very candid message. She said, I don't know anything about the election. I know it's really bad to say, but it's just not something that gets talked about amongst most. It's very truthful.
I like honesty.
I like honesty too. And the next one we have from Kara, who says, the job market for students during and after the school year. It's hard to find a job that accommodates university life and to afford food and gas. And the next one I have for you is from Logan that says, the most important issues to me are housing, especially corporate real estate and slumlords, police brutality, and Israel's genocide. And I'll give you another one, Adam, from Charlene Newbury, who says, the high cost of living constantly going up. Adding to the mix is no tuition freeze, and our tuition is constantly going up. Next we have from Ashlyn Penwell, who says, bringing back the tuition freeze and restoring healthy funding levels to MUN, having a sustainable plan to address the deferred maintenance.
Excellent. Thank you for those. And if those folks are listening who did send us these emails, thank you very much for the submissions. One of the folks who sent something, so the other thing that happens, we're going to bring Andrew Stinson over here. One of the things that happen, when you get in touch with us, odds are we will get back in touch with you and be like, hey, if you liked putting in writing, would you mind coming by to talk to us here on the show? Andrew Stinson is one of those people. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. So when you saw the email or the poster, why did you want to send in a submission? What was it that was like, you know what, I'm going to send these folks some thoughts?
You know, it popped up in my email one day. I was just studying. It was around, I think, probably second or third day of class, and I saw it, and I was like, well, I like politics. I'm doing political science as a major here, and you know, I've been involved in the provincial election. I was like, I want to get my voice out and let people know what I'm thinking about the election.
Who's your favorite poli-sci prof?
Who's my favorite poli-sci prof? I got Prof. Russell Williams right now for my class, so he's top right now.
Yeah, I like Professor Williams a lot. He's great. I saw him just the other week. So you're studying poli-sci. What is it that's been in your head for this provincial election as the top issue?
When it comes to issues, I would say, obviously education. We've heard a lot of good things about education here said from other people so far. Education, obviously an issue. MUN funding, tuition freeze, stuff like that people are talking about. But on top of that, just overall cost of living stuff, affordability, public safety is another issue. I know that's not something that you'll hear from a lot of students because they're more student-oriented, but public safety as well. And I also said when I submitted the submission, I said that getting the MOU done right was one, which you don't expect to hear from a student because they'd be more so focused on the MUN education stuff. But I said that because, you know, whatever deal gets signed, I'm going to, full disclosure, I'm not an expert. First year, I'm taking one economics course right now, right? I don't understand any of it. But what I do know is the deal is going to be decades long, right? 50, 90 years is what I've heard a lot of. Well, I'm not sure what the next number was, but around that range of years. So it's really important that that gets done right and that is we exhaust all methods to make sure that it is done in a way that is fair for Newfoundland.
So then for this memorandum of understanding for Churchill Falls, opening it, if the deal gets signed, opening it up early before the 2041, like for that to happen, as the MOU is right now, and you said you're not an expert, but what is it that you're looking to either hear from the Liberals, the PCs, or the NDP more than what's been out there so far in public conversation?
I like what the PCs say about independence and what it is, because we saw some scandals around
having an independent
and stuff like
someone
that.
independent look at it.
Independent commission. I do disagree with the PC position on a referendum.
Why?
I don't. Now, me personally, I will full disclosure, I work on Christina Ennis's campaign, who's been on the show a few times, PC candidate. I'm going to vote for the PC party in this election, but I do not support the referendum because it's just, like I said, I'll be able to vote in that. I'm a first year, I'm taking one economics course. I don't know the facts. I don't think I'd be able to educate myself on a thing that is that big, if you know what I'm saying.
Totally. No, I mean, that's such an interesting point. So have you voted early, or are you going to wait till election day?
I'm going to wait till election day because it'll be first time voting in provincial elections. So
First time
voting in provincial
very
elections.
cool.
So I'll say I want to save that for election day, have the full feel.
That's awesome. Thank you for getting in touch with us. Thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
And thanks for having the poli-sci chat with me.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're helping me raise my poli-sci average from my old degree. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Cheers. All right, so that was Andrew Stinson there. So we've got a few folks who have been giving us submissions here. Andrew being one of them. Alexis Johnson is another one.
I think this is a little too
Oh yeah, so we've got some height. We're just adjusting the microphone here again.
Great, thank you so much.
Alexis, tell us about yourself.
So I am currently a grad student here at MUN. I am in the geophysics program, about halfway through my master's.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so you're doing your master's.
Yep.
What is it when you what spoke to you about when you saw either in your email or with a poster when it was like, hey, the Signal's looking for ideas and thoughts from students on this provincial election. Why'd you want to send in something?
So I know that with younger people, I think we're so kind of disillusioned recently because of, the
Everything.
stress that we've been under, like world events and everything. And so I figured a lot of people are going to be apathetic about this. I feel like there might not be a whole lot of responses, so I want to make sure that the student voice is heard. And I don't know how many people this is actually going to reach, so I want to make sure that, that at least some students are trying to get their voices heard, because I think it is really important to listen to some younger people's perspective on political issues.
So then what are the biggest issues that you want people to understand when we're looking at the provincial election or anything else?
So I think for students, I think everyone here has already talked about housing, so I'm not going to dwell on that too much. But in general, affordability I think is really important for our province right now. We are seeing very high costs of living. It's really hard for students to keep up, and people have already mentioned the increase. The increase of cost of living, as well as unpaid work terms for a lot of students. And right now in the province, we are having a lot of issues with healthcare. Like, I have a family member who recently had a stroke, and he was in the hospital waiting over 8 hours to get seen after having a stroke, which is, it's really hard for people to get health care. And when we have med students and nursing students and social workers not being paid for work terms, how are we, incentivizing people to go into these positions, which are, severely understaffed right now, if we are making them pay to do work? Like, it's really unfortunate. We really need to have people being paid for these things so that we can have, better health care in our province and better social care in our province.
How hard is it for students, you started off talking about this, engaging with the world around us, with all of the stress, from the cost of living unknowns to the conflict and war unknowns, to climate change, to just trying to get through your studies and everything else. What's it like trying to be connected to what's happening and also live your life and study and plan for a future that can look murky at times?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think that when I was in my undergrad, that was the most stressful time of my life. I had no time to really focus on anything other than my studies and other than working, because, when you're in school and when you're working, you're completely drowning trying to focus on, like making a future for yourself, making a career, staying afloat, like financially, making sure you can pay your bills. And so I think when we are under such stressful conditions, it can be really hard for students to focus on anything outside of their immediate sphere. So I think having more of a presence on social media is a really good way for students to be able to connect with the news and like politics, worldwide events. I think that is probably the best way, because students sometimes don't have time or don't think about it to go and actually search things out for themselves. They just there just simply isn't the time in their day.
So then for you doing your master's now, and when you think back to when you were a first year in your undergrad,
Yeah.
how much have you learned, not just through your studying, but just like as the world has as each day has gone on through your course of studies, how much more do you feel you know now compared to when you started?
Infinitely more. I feel like also being a master's student, and to anyone out there who's considering doing a graduate degree, you learn a lot less in the books. You learn so much more about skills. You have much more time on your hands as a person. You're able to, I think, learn so many more perspectives in the way that the world works. That's really most of it. But I mean, you mentioned earlier about, like how are we able to pay attention to, politics, like wars going on in other parts of the world. Another issue that I think is important for me personally, maybe not as many for other students, but for me personally, I think what's happening in Palestine, for example, is very important right now. We have two recent graduates and one, I believe, is a current graduate student from Newfoundland, from Memorial, who are currently on a flotilla going to Gaza in an attempt to break the siege. And I think for our election personally, I think it would be really important to me to see, our politicians stand with these three students, stand with these three Newfoundland citizens, because I think as Canadians, we have a responsibility on every single level of government to ensure the safety of our citizens and to stand with them when they are, trying to bring good to the world and deliver aid and, do all of these good things all across the globe.
Yeah, you talk about impact, and you talk about moments in your life when it's time to think, what am I going to do and how can I have an impact? Mm-hmm. And then you look at what those three are doing, mm-hmm. and it's quite the thing to watch.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time on this.
Yes, all right, thank you very much.
This is The Signal. I'm Adam Walsh. We're here live at Memorial University on campus in the University Center. It's lunchtime, and there's an ebb and flow going on here of crowds. And what we're doing is we're still talking through with students, folks who've submitted answers to questions that we put out there. Margot Keenan's here. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So the same question I asked the others who submitted, because I'm always kind of curious. Why did you think, there's a thing from The Signal with CBC, I'll send in my thoughts?
Well, honestly, I was just studying as well, and I saw it pop up, and I'm a political science student, so elections and how things are run are very important to me, and I wanted to make my voice heard for once.
All right, you're here. What voice, what would you like us to hear of things that matter to you for this election?
Definitely healthcare. Yeah. I've been without a family doctor personally for 3 years now. I've been moved up the wait list, down the wait list. I've had phone calls from random people. I just have no access to anything anymore, and it's really frustrating. I had to go to the emergency room. I was just never seen.
Right.
Yeah.
So healthcare. I mean, there is a health accord that's ongoing. But when you're a poli-sci student, and you might be reading the news or following something like the start of this health accord, as they try to fix the healthcare system, change it generationally, talking about things like the social determinants of health, but then you're there sitting, waiting, not having a family doctor. Like, what's the disconnect like for you as you see some action that it gets tried, yet on your end, you're not receiving any of the changes yet?
I think because I'm a young, healthy person, I don't get seen as someone who needs help immediately, which is really frustrating, especially since young people are the backbone of the province, and when we're not being treated properly, we end up leaving. We end up going to places where we're going to get taken seriously, where places are younger and more modern as well. The healthcare system is not up to date with the current needs and standards like the rest of Canada, especially I'd say in rural areas where like the nearest emergency room will be at least an hour from someone's house, and like they don't have an ambulance. It's getting to the point where the government really needs to figure out how to allocate that funding properly into making sure that we modernize the system and keep incentivizing people to stay.
Where'd you grow up, by the way?
I grew up here.
All right. So you grew up here.
Yes.
Studied here.
Yes.
What are your future thoughts? Because you just teased out there like, hey, some folks might not stay. What's the long-term plans for you and what you would hope to do? Are you thinking about moving elsewhere? Are you thinking about staying here?
Well, I would love to go to law school and eventually be a diplomat. But obviously with tuition and things like that, I'm not sure that's going to be a reality. I remember hearing that Mom was promised to have a law school back when I was in high school, and that just never came to fruition. So even if I did want to pursue a master's in anything, I would have to go away and pay exorbitant fees.
Any other issues that you're thinking about for the provincial election?
Definitely education, obviously, as a student. Not being warned, for example, that tuition fees go up. I just checked my balance this September and I realized, oh my goodness, there's been an increase. I got no email, no nothing. I don't think there should be like a sort of freeze. I think money needs to be funded appropriately by the government. I understand that students will have to pay tuition because we are a public university and you have to maintain the infrastructure because it is an older one. However, because it's not being funded appropriately, art students, for example, are the ones suffering the most. Our buildings are literally falling apart and all the money goes towards the majors that bring in more revenue. And I know of arts majors that have left the province because they know that MUN's not going to fund them and take care of them.
When I was first coming in here in the late 90s, that was the conversation was leaving here, right? It was coming out of the moratorium, years of not a great work labor market, and a lot of people I knew were either going to study English elsewhere, like I did over in South Korea eventually, or they were just leaving for jobs. And I find it interesting, and this is some of the conversation now again, of like folks might be having to leave and are looking to leave. Any final thoughts before I let you go?
I just hope that the government takes the young people seriously, especially since the population is getting older, so they do need us. They rely on us to keep the economy going, so it's important that they listen to our voices today.
Yes, older folks like me need your taxes, Margot, for when I get older.
Unfortunately so.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem, have a good day.
All right, let me see. We've been talking a lot to folks from Memorial University, but I do not want to ignore the College of the North Atlantic because if we're talking about student perspectives, CNA is just up the road here,
Yep.
right? So Madeline Westcott, welcome back to the show, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Remind folks who you are.
So I am a journalism student at College of the North Atlantic. I'm in my final year now.
Final year?
Yeah.
How's that feeling?
Good, yeah.
For the kicker, right?
Yes.
What have you folks been covering around the provincial election for the kicker?
So recently, now this was for the municipal election,
Yeah.
but I started to dig into the barriers that women in politics face in St. John's. And actually, I met with Kate Cadigan, so she was a candidate for at-large.
Running councillor at large. Yeah.
Yep. So we were speaking to one another. We were doing an interview at a coffee shop in St. John's, and there was a gentleman who was sitting across from us, so he was kind of overhearing our conversation and whatnot. And when we clued up the interview, he started chatting with us, and he said that he wanted to remind us how lucky we are that we can openly talk about politics and give our thoughts and chat about it. So he said that where he's from, originally he's from Yemen, he says back home, if you speak your mind about politics and you openly talk about it in public, it can result in violence. So he said that we're lucky, we're blessed to be able to talk about it.
So what was that like for you to hear that?
It was a reminder about how in other places there's just different situations, and another thing that it reminded me of is how important it is to vote.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's eligible to vote needs to vote. You have a voice. You can vote for a reason. You can really make change.
I think those are great points. It's always interesting when you're doing an interview and then you meet someone.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, that did not expect
Yeah.
that to hear that today, and it is such a I think it puts you in a different headspace completely
sure.
when you think about whether it's the municipal election with Kate Cadigan, like you're talking about there, or the provincial one, or any other bit of voting that we're going to do that is
Absolutely.
violence-free in this country of ours.
Yeah.
And 1 year left. What's the plan for after graduation? Looking for journalism work?
I will be looking for journalism work for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on the show again.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so that's one CNA journalism student, and we've got another one coming up here now, too. Mahalia Artis, is it?
Hello, yes,
How you
Mahalia
doing?
Artis, that's right.
Well, second time on the show as well. How you
It
doing?
is, yeah, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming back. We were thinking around who to call, and we're like, oh, we know some students, so let's get them on the show. What have you, for the provincial election, or just issues for Newfoundland and Labrador, what's kind of on your mind?
For me personally, I don't know if any candidates specifically have it in their campaign, but I feel like climate change needs to be a bigger issue. Like with all the fires happened this summer, I think I read it might have been the most fires that Newfoundland has ever had, and historically we're not in a climate that should be having that many wildfires. And yes, some were created by arson, started by on purpose fires, but that wouldn't be happening if
the conditions,
if the
right?
conditions
it was hot,
yeah,
it was
exactly.
dry, it was drought conditions.
Yeah.
And for the island portion of this province, the island gets on average 1,400 millimeters of rain a year. This summer, not that,
Yeah.
and was very different.
Yeah.
And the conditions were there. And what happened? We get loss and damage, Conception Bay North, because of it.
Yeah.
So climate change.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to hear about it?
I guess I'd like to see more movement towards sustainable living within climate, I guess.
Yeah.
Like look at more solar power ways of looking at things. I know that's a whole big thing to even do, but I feel like going forward that should be something that Newfoundland and Canada specifically is just looking forward to having more of, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else are you following, whether it's through school or just on your own for social issues? So climate change, one big bit, and there hasn't been a lot talked about that I've heard. Bits and bobs here and there, but no big focus on it with this election. So anything else standing out to you?
Healthcare and education for sure. I feel like
Yeah.
everyone has mentioned that here pretty much. Healthcare with the insane waits for getting in to see for like immediate issues. You can't get in right away because there's too many people in the emergency. With education, I didn't realize that MUN kept hiking their tuition like that as much as it was, so I didn't understand all that because I'm from Kona, right? So that should be something that should be looked at, I think, as well. Yeah.
You two in your final? Is it final year now?
Yes, final year. I'll be done end of June, hopefully.
End of
Everything
June.
goes according to plan.
So how does that feel to be in the final year?
Oh, it feels great.
Yeah.
I love it.
What's the hope, aspiration, plan for afterwards?
I'd love to work in journalism.
Yeah.
A reporter. I like the photography aspect of journalism as well. But then also maybe look at continuing my communications degree, which I started here at MUN a couple years ago
right
as well.
on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, good luck with finishing, and good luck
you.
with the future of that. And thanks for coming back on the program.
Thank you for having me again.
All right, cheers. Let's bring John Harris back into this conversation.
How's it going, Adam?
Editor-in-Chief of the Muse. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I've been loving the conversation so far.
Yeah. So, what are the bits and bobs that have stood out to you today from the conversation?
Well, it's come up a few times about like youth engagement in politics, and
Yep.
I think one of the big issues, actually a federal one, which is the reason why CBC and now can't have an Instagram account to reach young people, is the news ban. So basically, Canadian news is banned from Meta, it's banned from Facebook, banned from Instagram, which makes it hard for journalists to actually reach young people where they're at. So that's one thing that kind of stood out to me. Like it's not that journalists aren't trying to reach people. I think it's like there is a problem with at that federal level. But when it comes to holistically, I think the province needs to do a better job of using Memorial University as an economic engine for growth. I think last Friday you had on a economics prof, you had the Federation of Labor President Jessica McCormick, poli-sci prof, and the Board of Trade. And I think I was captured by the point about we need to up our productivity if we want to get out of our fiscal situation. We're dealing with a lot of debt servicing. We're dealing with a high level of debt. We need productivity to help our economy. What we're not doing a good job of is making sure that university and college students can see themselves having a future here in the province. And I think that starts with paying them if they have a work term, if they have affordability issues, if they have troubles with transportation, if they can't afford their groceries. Other provinces might start to look a lot more desirable if they can see a path there rather than here. I think that that's a big issue with keeping people here when they come to university here from other provinces. I think so. In order to get university students to stay in the province, they need to have a lower cost of living. I think that a big asset to Memorial University was that it was very affordable when it had the lower tuition rate freezed at the 2000s. I think that what happened with the increase in tuition is, the government, provincial government, when they're asked at the town hall, they say, well, we have a robust loans and grants program. But 70% of MUN students don't benefit from this program. 70% are paying out of pocket. And those that do have the loans that are eligible, that means non-international students, those that are eligible, that doesn't cover their cost of living when it comes to the skyrocketing housing rates, when it comes to skyrocketing food prices. That loan or grant only goes so far to cover your costs. And what we're doing to university students is we're forcing them to work another job on top of their job as being a student, in some cases on top of their job as being a work term student, say in nursing where they're working 1,500 hours, social work 700 hours, pharmacy, education. They're having to work on top of their work, on top of their studies, and that is not producing the best of the best. When you're tired from working all day, you're not going to put your everything into your essay because you just want to do it the night before and get it done.
It's like the cork board behind you when we were talking earlier in the show with the folks from Munsu. How did the tuition hike affect you? One of the answers is, well, I'm working 3 jobs. Another person, I'm in inappropriate housing, and there's more there as well. Like, this is the flavor of what you're getting from some of these extra costs in these times of high cost of living. But students, like you're saying, you show the brunt that they're bearing in order to try to make it through for their education. We're almost out of time here. What's next for you today? Is it class, or is it the more stuff with the Muse? Are you signing people? What's going on?
A combination of all three. I think we want to get as much out about the provincial election, encourage people to vote. They can vote here on campus. So we want to make sure that students have participate in the environment. So thank you so much, Adam, and the whole team at the Signal, and everybody here for coming and bringing those questions to students.
Yeah, good luck with coverage, and I'll be in touch. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adam.
John Harris there, editor-in-chief of the Muse, folks. That is winding down the show today. Hema Pazmino. Hema, come on over here for a second. I got a quick question for you. Also working on the show today. Here, I'll use this microphone. So you put the show together.
Yeah.
You're new on the show for a little bit of time. Did this work out the way you were hoping?
Yes, it did, definitely. Yeah.
And where'd you study, by the way? Tell folks.
I did journalism at the College of the North Atlantic.
So from the pipeline, from the College of the North Atlantic into the team on the Signal. Thank you so much for the organizing of this today. And I'll see you back. We got to unpack everything, or pack up, I should say. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Emma.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
All right, everyone, that's it for the show today. Tomorrow, it's Gardening Day, second last one of the season. So Green Thumbs, only 2 shows left to get those questions in. The Signal at cbc.ca if you have any feedback for us about any show or about future shows. But cheers.